Hey everyone, welcome to my apocalyptic ashram I call Hawkshaven, and this is one of the gardens I've been building. When I bought the property, this used to be just a sagebrush hillside, about 10% grade all the way down, and anytime the rain would happen or snow melt, the water would just rush right off the property, and about the only thing that would grow here are some bunch grasses and sagebrush. And now I've been creating these terraces, and let's take a look back here first about kind of what this is. Alright, so all the rocks for the borders, those have all come from the ground that I dig up. And most of these the little creatures and stuff are all either garage sale finds or stuff that people are throwing away. And sometimes we find like this. I found this elk spine up in the hill, and you add a little guy on there that's having a ride down. I don't know, whatever. Be creative, bunch of mint. Mint really just takes off. Plant it in one area and it really spreads. It makes a cool ground cover. Good for smoothies and your coffee or whatever else you want to consume it with. And my friend, he painted that cat on a rock, and so we put that in the garden because that's a cool place for it, right? And we've got some bunch of other stuff growing. My ex-wife, before she left, she planted a bunch of bachelor buttons. I think she thought that would be funny. Ha ha ha! They're everywhere. Rhubarb, and that plant there, I cut it in half early this spring, and I spread it out. I didn't spread it out very far, but there's one of them there and another one in another garden that we're going to look at here in a minute. And sometimes you really got to look deep in the garden to find the beauty. Life's a garden, and we should dig it. And at Hawkshaven, I teach people how to turn desert landscape into productive food forest by terracing and hugelkultur. So like this is a hugelkultur bed that's not yet complete running through this garden, but it is still working because when I put the sprinklers up, they obviously gets the ground wet. And when you've gone up like this, you've actually increased the surface area of the ground that's able to catch and capture water. And using branches and mulch and weeds and then layers of dirt helps it to, basically it's providing nutrients to the soil. And here's another couple trenches that are getting things as I find them. And then I throw mulch down. I get mulch from the dump for free. And this gate is let's see here, let's back out. This gate, it looks a lot like a bed frame because it was, and it works great. It keeps dogs out of the garden, or it keeps them in the garden if I want them in the garden. So this ditch here, this is another hugelkultur ditch, and that started off about 1.5 feet deep below the level, maybe almost 2 feet. And then I started piling branches and leaves and layers of cardboard and oyster shells. And when you put the oyster shells on the layers, put them so they're cup up, right? So any water that's coming down through there is going to pool inside that shell, and it's going to hold on to water that much longer. And this is a really cheap hoop house. Just I think I have about $100 into buying the piping. And then I drilled some holes in some boards that I already had laying around, and then put kind of a spine on it. That's just twine running through, and I built a spine, and then you can just throw plastic over the top of this. We got broccoli growing right here, and if somebody ever gives you a horseradish plant and they tell you to keep it in a bucket or a tub, some way that it can't get into your ground, listen to them. because I planted this as one little plant right about there about 6 years ago, and to harvest it after it had gotten pretty big, I dug a 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot hole. Big hole. I mean, I had pulled a lot of material out. And I thought I got most of the roots. No, it laughed. So I think those are some like squash plant right there and there. It looks like everybody would be happy with a little bit more mulch. Here's another hugelkultur ditch that I've been digging. It's not yet complete, but I'm going to dig it down another 6 inches or maybe maybe a foot. We'll just see how it goes. And then start piling branches and stuff in there. Do a layer of cardboard. And my friends have a lot of oyster shells that they donated to me. So as I'm doing my layers, I can throw the oyster shells in there. And that's, I got honeysuckle growing up the fence line. And that's the thing too, is whatever kind of fencing you can do is going to be great, but it doesn't even have to look good, because once stuff grows on it, it's going to look good. And so basically you just need something that's going to hold, like a trellis, something that supports it while it grows. That's what we all need, right? Just a little bit of a trellis. Something to give us a little support while we grow. And we learn how to fend for ourselves. We establish our roots. So that's about it for this garden. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to finish off with the grand finale. Got a shot up the Trinity.